Hey there, folks. How's it going? Thanks for joining me here on this Super Bowl Sunday. If you've followed me for years in my broadcast, then you know every Super Bowl Sunday I do some alternative programming for those of you that are not into the Super Bowl or your team may not be winning and want to watch something else. And I use it as a time at the beginning of each year to basically help do something to feed your mind. And that's what this is about in this particular broadcast. We're going to be talking about what I call is a life hack, a biohack. It's not as hard as it may sound, certainly not as technical as it may sound, but I'm going to share with you some of the tips and tricks I learned along my life journey of how you can create your own future. And it's about simple life and biohacks. I'm going to explain those as I get going here. But the whole part of this is this particular broadcast is a part two. Part one was on December 31st of this past year, as we all gathered together. It was a few thousand of us overall, I think, have watched it. And I gave you the very detailed backstory of my life and the logic. There's no logical reason I should be able to do what I do or accomplish what I accomplish, because at its core and statistical analysis, I am still basically an abandoned welfare baby. So how did I do it? That's what I'm going to be teaching you this evening, and I want you to learn. So get a pen and paper if you don't have a pen and paper already. Because what we're going to be talking about is your brain, your future can be hacked. Now, some of this you've heard maybe little bits and pieces with me over time, right? And as I've talked about it at different times. And thank you for all of you joining from across the country, the United States, etc. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And you're going to hear some little bits and pieces, right, as I go through this that you've heard before, but I'm going to stitch it all together for you in a brand new way so you understand how I use it. Thank you, Julie. You like my wall behind me? These are all my ancestors. If I could back the camera off, you would see several hundred years of ancestors over time. And it's interesting to understand where you come from and how does it play into your own personal history. Ever thought about where you come from and your own personal history and what does it mean to you? And hey, how has it wired you for success or not for success? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let me put up a few things for you so you understand what we're going to do. You can read the little ticker tape at the bottom, right? 2020 life hack, and your brain, your future can be hacked. Let's get started here as people spool up. I'm going to give you a very, very short overview. So let me share my screen with you, and I am going to share with you, should I say, my progression along my life. I'm going to do it really quick, really short. That's why I put these photos up for you before. So here's a picture. If you're looking at my screen, you are seeing my family. This is my father. There's me, my older sister, my middle sister, and my mother. And if you followed my life story, I talked about my mother. I am only a first generation American. Here's a picture of my mother in Gießen, not too far outside Berlin, and Frankfurt in Gießen with her brother, my Uncle Bill. Unfortunately, both of them have passed now. This was the woman that made the difference in my mother's life. This is my great-grandmother, Sophie, which is, of course, my middle sister's name. My regular grandmother is Gussie. That's also my oldest sister's name. But here's my mother when she was young. And it was this great-grandmother that worked as hard as she could to make sure that she got these kids and families out of Nazi Germany. And so that's what makes me a first-generation American, because my mother's pure German, her side, married my father, who was a U.S. serviceman, and over in Germany, that's how the families kind of commingled. If you remember in the story I told you about that my family kind of disbanded real early. Let me go back to this photo. This is a snapshot in time when my family was still together. We were living in a public housing project, and then all hell broke loose. And right after that, these are the 3 children right here that I told you about, that you're seeing myself and my 2 sisters, that the church intervened because we were living up under a porch, and my sisters were wandering the streets looking for food while my mother dealt with her addictions. I'm not going to get into all of that. Go back and watch the first video. And then this is where we first got back to my father. So this was how ragamuffin we are, and this is where we got to my father. I just wanted to put some visuals to these so you understand the transitions, because this is important. Now, this is me when I talked about me in the 5th grade, right? It's interesting. I love that picture. I know it sounds really weird, but that picture is a very good depiction of what I was like as a kid. You can kind of see the brightness in my eyes, you know, here I got this straight dirty blonde hair, right? That was my wonderful life as a kid. Now look at the color of my eyes and look at the texture of my hair. And if you remember what happened, I told you this photo. This is me in the 4th grade, about to head into the 5th grade, where this sexual abuse, spiritual abuse, physical abuse happened. And now here we'll go to me in the 5th grade. You can see an interesting difference. I think I did a side-by-side. As I'm headed into the 4th grade, and as I'm headed into the 5th grade photo there, you are not looking at puberty, right? It was still too old for that. I mean, you know, I was still too young for that. But if you look at my face, and everything about me changed after the abuse in a very serious way. My hair went coarse, my skin went coarser, my eyes even changed colors. It's kind of hard to tell in these photos, but everything about me broke because of that abuse, and my eyes even changed colors in my persona. Everything about my being changed. Put that behind me, right? You can see kind of a side-to-side difference. I went from being innocent to being abused and wizened beyond belief. Now, this photo, you see me here reclining back. I'm actually a whopping 17 years old in that photo. I had already had to get to work, and I already had to start make my living because my childhood fell apart. I became homeless, had to make my living. You're looking at me here, and I also, on top of that, hang on, I lost control of my mouse. Also, other than that, I became a father too. But I found out something interesting about myself. I actually got into a very large company. Here's me in the center. You can kind of see me. And you see everybody around me are far much older than me, but here I am basically as an 18-year-old kid. And I found out I kind of had these really interesting skills as a business person, leading business and, innovating in the business world. And so I found out I had these gifts. I never knew about it. And I parlayed that right after this. I parlayed that into the beginning of my television career. If you look at this photo right here, let me see if I can bring that up. There you go. That's me. I'm in the middle of Times Square. That's a shoot for a product. That's a shoot for MTV. I'm right outside 1515 Broadway right there. That's Times Square. And so there's me and all the camera crews on the streets and stuff. And then eventually led into a career of me doing many different shows and discovering people for shows or package. A lot of y'all probably remember Mike Levy. You just didn't know it was this kid behind it. That led to me getting started in my publishing career. This is one of my first books and audio series. And so here's me in the studio cranking out content, which led me, you probably recognize people like Scott Flansburgh, the Human Calculator, seen them all over TV, or here's Susan Powter. We're doing a production. We were making fun of Tony Little for Susan Powter at the time. And then here we are at the Television Awards, sweeping and winning all the awards. And my television career just skyrocketed off. And then, of course, here's me making live appearances and doing what began as a Fox television show, then eventually spun out to where I was CBS and then ABC and then all across it. So here's my cast of characters and stuff. For those of you who don't know, most people didn't know back then, but this is my son's mother. We kind of hid the fact that we were a couple and married, and then did a live event, my second big live event. And you start doing events where you got 10, 20, 30. This was 40 some odd thousand people showed up. And that's where I became this character. And it's this character that bloomed from TV into not doing TV all over, just doing TV all over, to radio, to everything else. But this is where I broke out and became an internet pioneer and started preaching that this thing becoming the internet was big. So this was me. This was the persona I had evolved into. And if you've seen this picture, some people say, who's that, your wife? No, that's not my wife. That's my firstborn right there. That's Brittany. That's my daughter. I was 17 when we created her. And so that's my beautiful daughter, Brittany. And then here's my whole family. I don't think I've ever shown this before. And here's Baron, the youngest. I've never ever really shown these photos. But that's Baron, the youngest. And so this little bitty welfare baby here that got rescued from living on a porch and makes this just transition and goes through all this stuff and up through the corporate world and then through the television world and recording and publishing and film and everything else, having an interesting career, winning every possible award you could win, to finally moving into my own series and big appearances and stuff to become Mr. Internet, right? To think you have everything in the world and you have your family, and then all of a sudden here's your beautiful family, and things change. And what are the things that change? The things that change was on that particular one, if you look at the series of photos, that was when I was at the height of my career. And we didn't make the offering, then the .com hit. And then, of course, you all know from there that that's when 9/11 happened. And 9/11 changed the entire world. Here's what I want you to get out of that really short retelling. You can go back and get the real icky part of the details by watching the other video. That's not what this video is about. This video is about the solution. How do you leap forward, and how do you transition? I showed those photos to help you understand one thing. We all have the power to recreate ourselves no matter where we come from. Statistically, I shouldn't even be here and alive, but I am. And statistically, if you look at where I come from and watch that video, you'll get more details, but shouldn't even be able to accomplish what I've accomplished in my life and do. And I am the living, breathing example of reality. If you can dream it, you can do it. And I'm going to show you the life hack I learned that changed my life. I'm going to go back to one photo real quick here. Bear with me one moment. I'm going to jump back to just one photo, and it's back to these progression of me. And it's jumping from, how did I go from this young kid right here, right? And this is still a kid right here. This is only me at 17, right? And so 5th grade, okay? And so 5th grade, what are you, 5th grade? You're 11 years old, right? And then here, me at 17. So it's only 6 years later, right? I am still a kid there, but something different changed in between these time periods here where this particular trauma happened, and I got to here to morph into what I became. That's what's really interesting is what did I become? So what was it? So I'm going to tell you how it happened for me. I actually started reading some very interesting books. And I learned a secret back then about programming our brain, and that you can program your brain to modify and to change your life. Now, I have to totally admit to you, there's two things you need to know right up front. Changing your brain sounds very intimidating and very hard to do. The second thing about it is you have to keep at it. You don't do it once, you will do it many times in a lifetime, and I'm going to give you the basis for getting started here. Now, when I first realized that you could change your brain to change your persona, or change your brain to change your life, I have to tell you, it scared the crap out of me, right? Now, why did it scare the crap out of me? Because I learned in this programming that whatever you constantly think about, and whatever you ardently desire, and whatever you're just like possessed with and focus on, that's what you will become. That's a lot to think about. I freaked out because of, oh my God, I'm going to turn into a woman. No, just kidding. But think about that. Think about the things that we obsess over in life and what happens to us. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's what I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to take you on a rapid fire progression of how I took welfare baby, destroyed life, abused, sexually abused, psychologically abused, religiously abused, you name it, over and over and over, all the stuff, and redid the programming to not accept how my circumstances or my environment or my family programmed me, but understood that I could program me, and that this right up here is the greatest computer in the world. I'm going to show you this hack. Get out a pen and paper. I'm going to kind of walk through these things. I'm telling you, it is so simple. But the hardest thing of all is just committing to do it. It's that simple. You're given in life free will. You have free, hang on, I'm trying to get to my new comments. There they are. Okay, great. You have everything it takes to completely change what you are. Now, here is how I explain this to people so you understand it. So I'm going to explain. Let me put one banner up. I want to show you that what I call a biohack. Now, close your ears if you have to close your ears, but I'm going to use real world examples to explain this to you, because this is truly how it works. Let's say you're a woman, right? And you meet a guy and he just does not interest you at all, right? Just doesn't interest you at all. Maybe he's not a looker, maybe he's not fit, maybe whatever it is, just no interest at all. Then for whatever reason, you spend some time around him, and all of a sudden you learn some things about him that something just clicks. And all of a sudden that attraction kicks in, and you're get all tingly and get all excited and get all excited. And all of a sudden it's just like, bam, it hits you and the chemistry's there. And it's like, oh my God, that's a biohack. If we just break that down in a moment, what it did is you had sensory input, you got a little bit more information, and that information changed you to make you feel something even bigger, better, and greater. And all of a sudden, boom, you're all in. That is a biohack, a biological hack. I'm telling you this so you understand that your body does this naturally and you can harness it. Now let's go to the opposite side of guys, right? Opposite of the gals. Woman sees the guy and not that interested, and all of a sudden finds like something there, boom, chemistry hits, biohack. Guy, on the other hand, if we just walk around and breathe, we're there. It's happening, guys, just tell the truth. And all of a sudden you're like all into it because you're a guy. And whatever happens, for some reason, when you kind of get to know her, spend some time with her, all of a sudden that let's run true to it, all of a sudden something said the opposite or something clicks with you and you think, and you just kind of Mr. Wilted man and, oh my God, stay away from me. Those are all biohacks. That means something changed your chemistry, principally in your mind. And when your mind had that chemistry change, your body changed with it. That's the biohack I am going to treat you because it is teach you. It's a life hack and a biohack. Here's the first few things you need to understand about every one of our brains. Two things I want you to understand. The moment your brain gets new thoughts, okay? The moment your brain gets new thoughts, your brain never goes back to the original size and shape. Jenny B. Jones just said, I wish I had more information when I was younger. Jenny, here's what's really interesting. I learned this young, but I still have to use this to this day. It does not matter what your age is. This is something you can teach your children or your grandchildren. This is something you can do when you're 80 years old. You can biohack your body. So the first thing to remember is when a new thought enters your head, enters your brain, and it's kicked around, your brain expands. I'm talking from an electrochemical standpoint, neuron standpoint, not like your head gets any bigger, right? But once that occurs, your brain never, ever, ever, ever goes back to its original size and shape. It's kind of like what we've been through sharing history together. All of a sudden you learn that it was possible for ancient mariners to get to the Americas. And when all of a sudden you got the facts, your brain went click and everything else looks different to you because you never go back to its original form and shape. The second thing is I think you need to understand, or I will share with you my philosophy about what it means to have these powers. Personally, I think these are divine powers, and that's when I wrote in my context of this that God gave you everything you need. I'm going to prove it to you scientifically. I'm going to show it to you. But I want you to understand how I look at it is I look at when we were told, or when you learned, or when you discovered, or when you read that we were made in God's image. I personally don't believe that means God was a male, not a female, or any of that, or God was purple or brown or green or no hair, all hair, beard, no beard. That's not it. What we got in that image, that mirroring of God, was our brain. Because our brain, we can create or destroy. We can choose to be good people or bad people. We can give life and give back to life, or we can take away life. That's the imprint we have. That is the power that we have within every one of us. And what we need to do is need to learn how to tap into it. And that is what's called a life or a biohack. You have everything you need to do this. I'm going to show you you have everything you need to do this. But first, I want to explain a little bit to you about your brain. So let me share with you a few other screens, and we'll go from there. The first thing is I want you to understand that your body, just like this planet, your body is primarily water. Your brain is 75% water. Your blood is 92% water. Your bones are 22% water. Your muscles are 75% water. Let's look at your blood. A lot of the high pressure blood pressure out there is caused from a very simple thing. We get dehydrated. Our body starts losing its lubrosity and its water content, and our blood becomes thicker. So water is the key here. Now, I'm only using this as a teaching moment for you because I want you to understand how important water is. And then I'm going to show you water is the path connecting way to your brain. And you're right, Jill, that's free will. It's God image, the power to choose. We have the power to choose. You are sitting here and you have executed your free will to be here, watch this, listen, hopefully learn something, and you have the power to choose to exercise this. Let's go on about your brain. Let me share with you another screen here. I'll make sure I've got it. Boom. Ready? Here we go. Okay. This is the basics of water. If our body is water, let's look at the planet that we live on. The Earth's oceans basically make 96.5% of the water content of the world, okay? So if you just look at this right here and look at salt water being 96.5% and fresh water being 3.5%, okay? You're looking at landmass to water. You are looking at literally, you have to understand that water is what makes our entire planet work. Tides, season, rainfall, growth, water, 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 water. Now I've told you also your body is tied to that same exact formula for water. So what I'm going to teach you is a way, if water is the conduit that makes everything work on the planet, and water is the conduit that makes everything work in our body, and you know if our body starts suffering from dehydration of water, we tend to peter out, dry up, and die. I'm going to show you how to hijack the water, which is the circuitry, which makes everything work, how to hijack that water in your body, and then biohack it to actually make your body do something completely different with it than what you've been doing with it. Right now, if you're unhappy with your life, if you're unhappy with what you've achieved, if you're unhappy with your circumstance, and no, Julia, you're not going to give up your coffee. There's a life hack for each cup of coffee. Make sure you drink 2 cups of water to counterbalance it. I won't even give up my coffee, right? But if all of that fluid is what makes your body go around and make it work, I'm going to take and give you new programming. Because right now, whatever your circumstance in life, whatever you feel about your life, whatever you feel about others, whatever you have in life, right? Whatever you expect in life, whatever you create in life, is 100% driven by the message that all that water and all those neurons are carrying in your body. So I am going to not have you give up your coffee. I'm going to have you biohack your body and hijack the water and use your water as a programming code to change your life. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen, go to my next tab. So first I want to show you a little bit about your brain. Remember I said that your brain was 75% water? These are basically electronic scans that are just looking at a quick snapshot in time. So you understand that your brain changes dynamically depending upon the circumstances it's in. I'm only using these to show you that influences, okay? Influences, whether influences inside your body or influences out external to your body that you're putting in your body, change your state of mind. Of course you know this. I'm only showing you this so you get a real good snapshot of your brain changes when you do things. So the first one, you're looking at just a quick brain snapshot of your brain, how it blooms on alcohol. Next one's marijuana. Next one is a brain that's subject to multiple sclerosis. The other one's Alzheimer's disease, then Parkinson's, and then cocaine. I'm only showing you this because what your body here, the glucose, the sugars in your brain, the things that make your brain fire, which is all being moved around by this water, are influenced by your state of health and influenced by your state of mind. Does that make sense to you? You're influenced by your state of health and you're influenced by your state of mind. And Teresa, yes, drink your wine. Go ahead, drink your wine. It doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to hack right around that, right? Just hack around that. And everybody thought their brains was 75% genius. I'm going to show you how to make, if your brain's already 75% genius, I'm going to show you how to make your brain 100% your capacity that you should be living at. Let's go to the next screen and I'll show you some more. Okay, so here we go. Now your brain is a computer. That's all there is to it. It is the computer that runs everything. It is the most amount of code you could ever imagine. None of the computing we can do can duplicate the code of the body. But your brain is a computer and it has tremendous similarities and differences. Here are how they are. They both use electrical signals to send messages. The brain uses chemicals to transmit the information. Remember, if it's sludgy, the communication message is not going to be there. That is its neurons. That is how the body communicates it in the brain. And that's why that water is so damn important. Now, computers, of course, use electricity. Now, even though electrical signals travel at high speeds in the nervous system, they travel faster through wires in a computer. You have to understand, those are the comparisons through computers in our brain. I mean, it's totally affected by the transmission. Here's what I mean. You remember the days back with dial-up, right? And we'd have to dial in on our computers and hope like hell we could wait for a picture it would draw line by line by line. We'd finally get a picture. Here we are now streaming. We couldn't have done that 15 years ago. Wasn't even possible. That's all about the bandwidth. And that bandwidth must be clear and clean to get those messages through. And as you know about computing, just like your phone, the bigger the bandwidth, the more the throughput, the more processing you can get done. But then there's a serious side of it too. Bad input equals bad output. That's a simple one. If you put crap in your brain, which I'm going to show you how we put crap in our brain. If you put crap in your brain, you are going to get crap out of your life. And that's why we're doing this drill, because your brain, your future, can be hacked. Let's go back to my share screen here, and I'm going to show you what I mean, okay? So, number one, let me get to my, let's see. I'm going to use, let's see if it's this one here. I think it's this one here. Yeah, there you go. You can understand this one, can't you? Poop in, poop out. Did you ever think that there truly was the phenomenon of shit for brains? I kid you not, right? But people can have such weird, horrible input in their brain that they literally can turn their brains to mush, and you literally can be basically crap for brains. You've heard it said before, it's an absolute truth, but you might be feeding your brain poop, right? Negative equals negative, positive equals positive. That is exactly what happens in your brain. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen there. Let me get back to the content here. I'm gonna show you. This is what most people when they see it for the first time, those of you joining for the first time, when you see it, it is just kind of blow your mind for a bit. But when you see it for the first time, it kind of can throw you for a loop. And it throws you for a loop because nobody's ever told you these things. They've never just shared with you these things about how critically important your body is and this programming is. Let me go back to that one here. These are all the systems in your body. 75% of your brain is water, right? Blood, the sludge gets down to 83%, goes up to, you want it about 92%. Your heart, 79% water. Your bones, 22%. Your muscles, 75%. Your liver, 86%. Your kidneys, 83% water. If those systems get clogged and get polluted, okay, those systems totally fall apart. Now, if you understand that water and glucose, that's what carries the glucose and everything through your body. If you understand that, right? If you understand that, then I want to show you how mission critical water is, because water is the carrier that I'm going to teach you to hack your life and to completely transform your life. I'm telling you, I'm living proof this works. I've done it. I did it myself. I'm living proof this works, but you have to see this. This is probably the most important slide I could show you, period. If you haven't seen this before, get ready. Boom. This is a drop of water. Some of you have heard me talk about this before. I'm going now to the next stage so you understand how to use this. See this horrible looking photo on the left? That is polluted water. You see how ugly it is? It's polluted water right there. And you see over here on the right, the only difference between these two drops of water, this was a study conducted in Japan. You can look up the book. We're not going to go into real detail in the book because you can get it and study yourself. It's called Emoto, E-M-O-T-O, Emoto. I had the pleasure of dialoguing with him significantly before he passed away. And he did research on water and why our world is in the state it is in. And he would take single drops of water. That's what you're looking at here. You're looking at a single drop of water. Take a look at the left versus the right, okay? The left versus the right. Single drop of water. What's on the left right there is when that water drops down the chamber, and he does like a flash freeze of it and snaps a momentary photo, okay? Snaps a momentary photo. That's what the water looks like. The only difference between the left and the right, the only difference between the left and the right, the only difference between this drop of water and this drop of water is the word labeled on the water when it was taken out. So imagine if this was the bottle of water. No, that wasn't Pellegrino. It just happens to be what I'm drinking this evening. And he pulled out one drop of water. And then on that one drop of water labeled, there was a ugly word, a mean word, a bad word, a degrading word, a belittling word. Dropped it in there, boom. That's what became that ugly water. Then that he relabeled it, took some more out, relabeled it from the same container, dropped it through, did the test all over again, and boom, you see that water turn into its interesting crystallized form. Now, the only difference was what was said to the water. That's it. So you're asking, can water hear? Can water feel? can water know? Well, it has to be pretty damn important if it makes everything on this planet work, from our weather to our growing seasons to even to how we communicate in our body. So if you just hold for the moment to understand that words matter, if you put horrible words in your body, that's the ugliness that's going on in the water structure of your body. If you put good words in your body, that's the goodness going on in your body. Let me show you a few more pictures because all of these are very important. Let me show you what happens when you put encouragement in the body. Okay, same thing, right? You're looking at words on the right of hate, anger, criticism. You can clearly see that they are horribly malformed. There's no way around it. You look at those words on the far right, when you have anger and hate going in, it's horribly malformed. On the left, you're actually looking at, right? Just the transition that proves you're right, Debbie, words matter. Now think about what's going on in our society today. Teresa, you're 100% correct. You think about our society together. Bonnie, you're right. We know this with plants. We talk to plants, we nurture plants, plant grows, but we ignore this. Think about the crap, but think about the stuff we're watching on TV today and we're hearing on TV about our government or our president, all the stuff that people are planting in our heads nonstop. Think about how just hearing that is changing the chemical structure of your body. You ever wonder why there's so much hate? You ever wonder why there's so many people upset at this point in time? Well, the reality is words matter. We're not done yet. Words matter. So, okay, we're predominantly water. Our planet is predominantly water. We now know that our brains rely on a tremendous amount of water, just like our vital systems in our body. We now know scientifically you could be talking to yourself either in the wrong way or the right way. Now, I always tell a joke. I tell a joke that, I talk about how we've changed as a society. We were all told to never get in cars with strangers. Yet now we all ride around with strangers in Uber. My family was different. They said, never get in cars with strangers unless they offer you candy first. No, I'm only kidding. Words matter. You know what I heard? You're like, I can't believe I got the stupidest kids on the planet. I've actually heard in my brain, now I know why parents kill their kids. Right? You can have aunts and uncles and friends or whatever. You tell people around your life that I am going to redo my life, and by next year, whatever your number is, let's just say it's $200,000 a year. That's your number. I'm going to make $200,000 a year. Listen to what they say back to you. There's only 3 types of answers. Oh, that's so damn stupid. You can't do that. That was my family, right? My family said, we're poor. We're just poor folk. The system will take advantage of you. The man always, rips you off. The system rips you off. That was my programming. You can't do that. How stupid is that? What makes you think you can do that? My whole world is about dreaming, right? Dreaming big. That's why words matter. So think about, what did your parents say to you? What do your friends say to you? What do the very people you're married to or have relationships with say to you? But more importantly, what do you say to you? That was my breakthrough. Here's how it came about. My life was in such upheaval and so traumatic, and I was trying to figure out how to make ends meet. being a young dad, and I was making $262 every 2 weeks. When you're living that hand to mouth, you're trying to figure out, am I putting off the car payment? Am I putting off the electric bill? Am I putting off the insurance payment to buy diapers or to pay for daycare? It's like my world was crashing, crumbling on me. And I was not able to cope. And it transformed me into an agoraphobic, meaning I started having massive panic attacks out in public. What it did for me is my heart started racing, my heart started pounding, I'd have panic attacks, I couldn't sleep, and I was afraid that I was going to die, right? I was afraid that if I exerted myself too hard, that I was going to have a heart attack and keel over. That was where my life was headed. Right? I just didn't know how to deal with life. And it got bad. I mean, I'd have these really bad heart palpitations and I'd freak out. And it could be as simple as maybe I was near a convenience store. And so whatever I did, I'd make sure I never went near another convenience store again, because that was the trigger that, boom, hey, maybe that was it. And then I remember one thing happened to me one day. And the one thing that happened to me one day is I had such a bad panic attack. And it was so severe, and I was so worn out that I gave up. And I basically said to myself, I can remember it as plain as day, sitting in my little duplex. It was just after a Thanksgiving one year. My precious little girl was about 2 years old. And I finally said, fuck it. I said, if I'm going to die, God, if you're going to take me, if I'm going to die, if I've been through all this to just die like this in a bathtub with my heart beating out of my chest, and I'm going to be, not even 20 years old, and I'm going to die of a heart attack, that's what you have for me. I finally said, get it over with. I'm done. Get it over with. And I got out of the tub and I went to bed. And I slept one of the most incredible nights sleep that I had ever slept before that. I wasn't sleeping well, but I fell asleep and I woke up and it dawned on me, I didn't die. And at that moment, an epiphany hit me that, wait a minute. These things were getting out of control for me because of what I was telling myself. I was telling myself I was going to die, right? I was telling myself I was going to fall apart. And as I was telling myself I was going to die and I was going to fall apart, I was dying and falling apart. And then when I stood my ground and I said, to hell with it, it dropped away. The epiphany was, it's what I tell my brain. It's what I tell my brain. And that is what changed my life. And I'm going to show you right now, get your pen and paper out, how to write your script to change your life. While you're getting your pen and paper, I'm going to share my screen with you. I want to show you scientifically this works. You've looked at my career. You've seen what I've done. You saw my background. I didn't hold anything back. There's no reason I should be able to do it other than I learned this LifeHack and I learned this BioHack. But I'm going to show you there's tremendous science that backs this type of life hacking. First, let me show you this one. Here you go. This is a baseline scan of the same stuff that I showed you before that shows your brain chemistry and how it all kinds of floats around and the viscosity and everything else in your brain heats up, heats down, morphs. Here's two different bases here. Baseline scan, we're paying attention to the frontal lobe right here. But the only difference of what's going on right here is in this slide on the right-hand side is all about prayer. That's it. The only thing that is different is prayer. In that slide, while the patient was being electronically scanned, there's a scan before and then a scan while involved in active prayer. Okay? Now, let's just say you're one of these people that don't throw the prayer thing at me. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. I'll rephrase it for you. Let me show you it this way. If you want to go ahead and call it meditation, right? Here it is in its meditative state, okay? What happens is your brain lights up, okay? Your brain lights up when you are basically feeding your brain prayer. This means it's not only being said or being thought, that your body chemistry is changing. Now that's very important, because I want to go back to, you got to understand, if we're water, right? Why is this, if we're water, that this matters? It goes back to this slide. Remember this? Okay, here you go. Same drop of water, same bottle, photographed at different time. The only thing different was what was being communicated to the drop of water. See the right? I hate you. Middle, thank you. Left, love. The only difference is the words. There is no other difference at all than the words. So what you're learning is your brain starts replicating this message. If all these little nano droplets of water in your body, if one drop of water can be changed like that scientifically to show it transmorphs into something beautiful, incredible, and powerful, not ugly, thick, greasy, and slimy, all of a sudden now imagine billions of those little nano droplets running through your body. You can't help but change your being. Doesn't happen instantly, doesn't happen in one day. You have to train your body to actually be able to deal with this and do it on a very consistent basis. Let me go back, show you one more on the brain. Then I'm going to show you the formula of how you're going to be able to do this. And I just want to show you various brains, various states. Your brain is this massive electrically charged database. At any one time, whether you're dealing with various brain states, right? On the left, you're looking at the normal brain. You're looking next to it, the ADHD brain. Its focus can't go out far enough to stay focused on it. You're looking at a normal brain relaxing. That's the blue one. You're looking at a PTSD brain. That's where the brain's basically setting off the fireworks in your brain. You're looking at a normal brain on the left, right? You're looking at a bipolar brain there on the bottom right. You see another normal brain, and you're looking at what's called the depressed brain. It actually, it blocks, it shuts down. You can kind of feel the depression creeping in on your brain there. And I know that sounds like really weird. So if anything you've learned, words matter. We're primarily water. Our whole planet runs off of water. Our whole body runs off of water. What you say changes that water, and that water is what fuels your body. Okay, write these down, take a screenshot. I'm going to show you. It only takes 2 absolutely free tools, 2, and they're free. Back when I did it, and I'm trying to get to my new comments here, so bear with me. Back when I learned how to do it, I had to go buy a tape recorder, and I'm going to show you how to do this LifeHack. But now all of these tools are free because you have a mobile phone or you have an internet connection. So here are my two tools that I still use to this day to actually accomplish this, because I have to do this. I have to do it at least twice a year, sometimes once a year, right? But I have to do it twice a year, okay, to keep this programming to stick, okay, and to manifest changes in my life. So look at this page. I use two programs to do it. On my mobile phone, I use a software program called Smart Recorder. I'm an Android user, okay? Don't hold that against me. I'm an Android user, right? I don't use an iPhone. And the Android version of Smart Recorder, it's a free recording device that goes on your phone. You can click it in and you can record. And then I use a second program on my computer called Audacity. Here's why. I'm going to show you this life hack. And what you're going to do is this life hack is how you're chemically going to change your body and manifest a biohack. And when that biohack kicks in, your life will change. Audacity is the software program I do it with, but I want to explain this now to you in detail. It only takes one slide to do it. One slide, and you will understand how this works. Okay, so let me exit my screen here. Let me get to my one most important slide, and here we go. Get ready. This is a wonderful slide. It's going to seem so very simple, but you're going to see the differences in how this works. Here you go. Okay. Basically, this is about programming. It's just like sending an email, right? You got that little piece of GUI that means click send, but underneath send, there's a command string that says, hey, send this out the computer, go here. You got to put the direction set in. And the direction set, like if you were sending me an email, right? You would put in my email and hit send and it would go to me. Two things happen. If you don't hit send, ain't gonna get to me. If you don't know my email address, it's not gonna get to me. And if you don't write the damn email, of course it's not gonna get to me. So here are all the short little hacks of how this works. This is all about you talking to yourself. What I do every single year or every single project I work on is I focus on what I'm telling myself. And I'm going to tell you how faithful, this is how faithful God is, and this is how faithful this program works. In my internet days, that was the time before people really weren't becoming billionaires. You could be 100 millionaires, but there weren't a lot of billionaires, right, in the late 90s. And so I prayed faithfully every single day for God to make me a billionaire. True story. And God did. God made me a billionaire. I was worth $1 billion on paper with my company, my stock and whatever. I was worth $1 billion, and he faithfully delivered. I faithfully, diligently worked at it. Except I never knew how literal God was, and I forgot to ask for it in cash. And that's a true story. That is an honest to God true story. Therefore, I learned at that point in time, after the whole world dropped out from under me, and I went from being, I'm going to be the next Bill Gates and worth billions and a billionaire, faithfully maybe a billionaire. I couldn't cash the damn check. Money went away. Stock never happened. Boom, it was done. And I learned you got to be very specific about what you ask for and how this works. So look at the nuances here. What I'm asking you to do, if you want to change your life, is to write your script. Write what you want to be as if you're already it. And I'm just going to use these 5 examples to explain. If you were to write a script and you write, I want to feel great, it won't work. Because this is about expectation programming your brain. I want to feel great. I just want to feel great. I wish I felt great. Oh my God, I just wish my life was better. See, you're already saying that already. It doesn't work. So you can't say, I want. You also can't say, I'm great. Uh, I'm great. It means nothing. It means nothing. You got to be very highly defined. And by the way, if you didn't catch any of these slides, go back to my wall. I put every one of them up and I'll post them again so you can see them, drops of water and everything. But you have to be literal. So let's go to the other two. Number one was, I want to feel great. That means nothing. Number two, I am great. That's nothing. You're getting a little bit better when you say, I feel great. I feel great. That is a positive affirmation. But what in the hell is feeling great? Great could be many things. It could be anything from my heart's not beating fast to my feet aren't sore to my ass isn't fat to, I don't have a headache. So you see, you have to be literal, because if you just skirt over it, you're not receiving everything you need. So let's go back to this. You got to be very, 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 very specific. Look at number 4 and 5. I broke them out. Simple statement. I feel grounded. I feel grounded. I feel grounded. Simple statement. Go back to it. I can also say it as I work at being peaceful. Now, these are just simple ones because I don't want to assume the things I work on are the same things you work on. So I'm giving you a base run here. What's most important is I took that one thing of I want to feel great and I showed you how to break it out. You've got to define what great is. I'm using it in one category alone. So you'd write down, I feel grounded. I work at being peaceful. Now, here's how this works. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. It's this simple. Trust me. If you will take out a piece of paper and you use only very specific drilled down words, let's do a run-on sentence here. I feel grounded. I work very hard at being peaceful. I enjoy my job more and more each day. I spend more loving time with my family each day. I take my ideas and I work day by day at focusing a bit more on creating for me. I'm giving you examples, right? Boom, boom, boom. Write everything out from head to toe, from life to house, to car to money, to love life, to Mr. Winky, to Madam Butterfly. I don't care what it is. Write it out, but write it out as fact. Fact. Your mind knows no different. You cannot say, I want to be rich. What the freak is rich, right? What is rich, right? I could go back to some of my cousins in Arkansas and they'd be damn white trash rich if they just had a new pair of grills with diamonds in it. They'd be rich. Would it mean anything? It would be nothing. You must define it. You have to define what it is for you. Here's what won't work. I want to be famous. What the hell is famous? You can be just as famous as a rock star as you can be as a serial killer. Get it? Words mean things. You can't say, I want to be famous. I want to be well known. No. You could say, I want to become not want. See, you have to scratch it. You got to work at this. I am a well-known historian. Write out exactly what you are going to be. You do not have to be there. Now, you're not going to write out, I want to be a sexy 20-year-old when you're 55. Ain't going to work. But what it can write out is, at 55, I'm working harder at turning back the clock on my aging process and working every day to get in better shape. You have to be very realistic. Now, what you do is you write out this script. No, I want. No, I hope. It is I am, right? I am grounded. I sleep well every night. I exercise every day. I drink more water. I work harder at my business to get new clients. Whatever it is, write it out in detail. You might have about 20 or 30 things. Okay? Now that's where these tools come in, and I'll explain to you how I use them. But that's just these words. I'm going to give you the breakdown. Number 1 would not work. Number 2 won't work. 3's getting there. 4 and 5 are better defined in every single category they are. Let me go back to my tool screen, and you got to understand how this works because this is key. Okay? My tools. Here you go. Here's how I do it. I write my script. Head to tail, I write my script. You may find it's hard, but if it's not exact, you got to kick it out. I am grounded. I eat healthier every single day. I am no longer eating sugar. I am reducing the fat in my diet every day. Write them out as facts. You do not have to be doing it. It has to be what you want, right? You're reprogramming it. You can't get it done. You're not doing it. You got to program your brain to get there. If you'll write all these things out and you get them all out on a sheet of paper, maybe 2, then with your mobile phone, okay, that's what this one comes in. These are absolutely free, okay? With your mobile phone, use your recorder, take your sheet of paper and read it. You can do it on your computer too. If you have Skype, Skype will do this. A lot of recording programs will do it. And read your script, right? You make out your 10, 20, 30 things. Read your script. I wake up every morning feeling more and more healthier and feeling more excited each day. I start my morning with a great breakfast where I've gotten rid of sugar and fats and I'm consuming more fruit. You get the point there? Write your script from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Write your script. You're going to record it into your phone exactly 1 time. That's it. 1 time. And then on your desktop, laptop, computer, or borrow somebody, you can do it on your phone. It's a little harder because it's such a small screen. Maybe it's because it's my fat fingers. But then you're going to use a program like Audacity. Okay? Very, very easy to use. And all you're going to do is duplicate the script. You know how you cut and paste? So you're going to listen, you're going to record yourself recording it, and let's say it's going to be 5 minutes long, hypothetically. You're just going to read it out. Try to read it with some emotion. I feel better each and every day. Read it with emotion. And you're going to record this for about 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't matter. Whatever you end up with. And then when you drop that in this software program that's also free, you duplicate it. So you'll highlight, copy, paste, 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 paste. I paste it till I have 2 hours. No shit. I take that little bitty statement group that might be 5 minutes long, might be 2 minutes long, and I paste it in until I've got about 2 hours. Sometimes I've done 3 hours. Then I save it, and then I email the link to myself and I download it to my phone. Now, what I have is a 3-hour message that I put on my headphones or I put on my little fobs and I hit play and I go about my day. And in my head, my self-talk, me talking to me is I am telling me what I am in life. I might not be there, but I am getting every little nano water speck chemical transmitter in my brain and body, believing it. I am changing that ugly slugness of negative thinking. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate my life. All the shit we say to ourselves. And I'm reprogramming it a different way. Now, the reason I loop it is because you're going to learn to talk to yourself this way. But right now, you don't. Most people don't know how to talk to themselves this way. Thomas, it is fake it till you make it. I kid you not. You got to be real. It is fake it till you make it. But here's the deal. We are never taught to talk to ourselves this way. If anything, we're told worse. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Have you heard that? How in the hell do you know how much to bite off and to chew unless you've bit off a big honking piece and then tried to chew it? You got to do it to figure it out. So the reality is, since we're never taught to talk to ourselves this way, since news and music fills our brain with crap, look up Baroque music. You wonder what I listen to in the background? I listen to Baroque because it raises your IQ. I don't put the other crap in. Now, guys, do you understand why I block people in Facebook groups from trolling? Think about it. If people come in to troll, in a group, and they say, you're an ass, you're a jerk. It's not that I'm worried about that. I'm not willing to infect you, because all of you are made of water too. That's why I block those idiots. You know why those people say that stuff? Because they're poison from head to toe. And all they do is spew poison. So what am I doing when I don't allow it to happen? And you understand why I'm strict on it? Because I don't want you poisoned. Because it will poison you. Just like the news will poison you. Just like if you listen to hate all the time will poison you. Change the subject. Find something to find common ground on. Feed your brain. Fake it till you make it. Now here's what happens when this takes over. You are telling you how great your life is. You're used to your brain being programmed in negative crap, right? Program negative crap. It runs around, rolls around in your brain. You're poisoning yourself. I'm telling you how bad this is. I have met people, right? I have met people that have actually talked about, I won't make it to 40 anyway. You know what happens? They don't fucking make it to 40. My mother would openly profess, oh my God, what happens if I lose my beauty? I don't want to lose my beauty. I would hate to be an invalid and lose my beauty and not be able to talk. What the hell happened to her? She programmed herself to it. You can program yourself to this. So what happens is when you drop this program from your very own phone, the tool you have right now, and you drop in this script, it is you, the most important person in the world, telling you how wonderful and great your life is. You don't know how to talk this way. It starts feeding your brain. You won't even, in many instances, you won't even be aware you're listening to it. But what you're feeding deep down in your pineal glands, down into your brain, is you telling you can do it and you can transform. And all of a sudden, something very interesting starts happening. The more you listen to this and the more exact you are, the chemistry in your body starts to change. And you start looking up and you start having a better outlook and you start feeling better and you start performing better. And instead of all the junk that's going around, right, all of a sudden it's just like, bam, and here it is. And here it is. And when you do it long enough, you now teach your brain to think that way, talk that way. That's why if we were in business together, I'm a smart enough businessman to know the crap or the shit. You got to recognize you got to deal with it, but you don't dwell on it. You don't talk about it. You don't focus on what's wrong. You focus on what's right. My whole career has been people saying, you can't do the stupidest idea in the world. You can't make that happen. It'll never happen. I made it happen. You know why I made it happen? Because I told myself I could. See, I don't care what you think. I care what I think. And it's all the same way. We're not trained to support each other this way. Another interesting thing happens too. When you learn to support yourself this way, all of a sudden, the people in your life that are the negative Debbie Downers you start pushing them out of the way. They start going away. Now, either they fall out of your life or they transform too, because they want a piece of what you got. And all of a sudden you start recognizing this, family, friends, or whatever, and you start redefining, who do you hang out with? Who do I let into my life? Who do I dialogue with? You know, we have all the people that always complain, I'm sick, I'm horrible, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever. No, you got to focus on the positive. Because every cell in your body depends on it. And Thomas, you're right. It's extremely hard. I do this. I've changed my life from a welfare baby living under a porch with a prostitute mom who was drug addicted to be the best I can be. And I still struggle with this. I have to remind myself to do it because it's not permanent. You know why it's not permanent? Because we live in a world and too much crap can come in. You can't isolate yourself from the world, right? You know, you saw me last week or, whatever. I was in Washington, D.C. You should just see the hate that was going on there. You could feel it. You think it's bad through TV. You should have been standing there in the Senate with me. It's just like, it's ick. That's the world. And I came back. I had a really hard time this week. Really hard time. And I was trying really hard to put my finger on why has this last week been so damn hard. And it's been so damn hard because of all that tanking and poisoning that went on in DC and just hearing all the vitriol and crap. I'm telling you, from a kid who was laying in bed, swore was dying of a heart attack. The leg up I gave myself, I didn't get handed to me. I learned to attract positive things to me, and through those positive people, I learned things that lifted me up. All computers run on programs. I just gave you a program. I don't want you to wish for anything. I want you to state your everything. Be realistic. $1 million check is not going to show up in your mailbox. I went to sell a multi-million-dollar piece of property of mine, and I was a preacher of all things, a child preacher, a youth pastor, wanted to buy my property and turn it into a youth ranch, which I thought was fantastic. In fact, I was willing to knock off a couple of $1 million to make it work for him. And we got all the real estate paper done and stuff. And I was really excited about it. Was going to, my ranch I so lovingly crafted was going to be turned into a kids camp. And as it came time to close and weeks went by and I wasn't hearing anything, I actually talked to the pastor and I said, well, what's up? And here was his answer. If God wants me to have it, a check will show up in my mailbox. That's not how it works. Even if you are biblical and if you study any of the books, the number one word uttered by the Christ, uttered by Jesus was ask. I personally believe ask, A-S-K, is an acronym. Ask, seek, know. You got to be able to ask for it clearly. Then you have to go seek it. And you got to be smart enough to know it, to recognize it when it's put in front of you. That's the free will part of it. And so it's not about wishing. You know what you want in your life. You know what you want to be happy in life. You know what it will take to make you feel better in life. You know what it will take you to be more successful in life. You will start to draw this to you if, in fact, you program yourself this way. If you have a problem with happiness, I am happy. I get happier every day. I wake up happy. If you wake up in a crappy mood, I wake up happy. I am happier and happier every single day. Fake it till you make it. Write your program. Duplicate it for hours. Listen to it all day long. Listen to it every day. Do not give up. Keep on feeding your brain. And you will start seeing this attraction come. You will start see things happening for you, and you will make this happen for you if you'll take this simple way. Just trust the science. If words matter, and words can even change that micro particle of water, imagine what will happen when you change the words about how you talk to yourself. And our body is primarily water. Imagine what happens when more and more of us do this. And more of us get in unison doing this. And our planet is primarily water. You can do this. You now have the secret. You now have the formula. And if you will apply this life hack, which costs you absolutely nothing to do, if you will apply this life hack, 2 free tools, if you'll apply it and you try it, I absolutely guarantee you will change your life. The longer you stick at it and the better you get at it and the more frequently you change your list over time and keep feeding it, the more you will thrive. But you will notice right away, hey, I don't feel so stinking thinking anymore, and you'll start to feel better. This is the truth. This is the absolute truth for hacking your life. And when you hack your life with programming, you hack your brain, your biochemistry will change and your body will thrive and come back alive and your world will change. I promise you. I promise you, your world will change. Thanks for joining me. Good night.